Patch notes for 3.24 just came out a couple days ago. And rather than rush to just talk about it immediately, I was like, let me give myself some time to cook, and digest this information. And I realized that some of this is still just difficult to digest. So I wanted to give you guys a quick way to digest these Atlas tree changes that all just came through. And we can see it visually as well on the other screen. I'll show some of it. But like, this was a lot to read. Like, I remember the patch notes before the sites were updated with the like visual, just trying to read all this. I was like, oh my, that's a lot. But so here's some things that are very noteworthy and some things that I think will come of it. I'm not really going to speculate too high on what like meta trees are going to look like or anything yet. I'm still working on some things for personal ideation for this, but I think right now is just put all the information out there, make it reasonable and appealing, and what like actually was changed as far as the goals went is where we're going to start from. So the first thing that we need to talk about, of course, though, is the removals, because I think the removals will set a lot of the stage for what's different, right? Seventh Gate, Growing Hordes, All Hands, Stream of Consciousness, Grand Design, and Wandering Path Keystones are all removed, which some of these are more consequential than others. Generally speaking, I'm going to be feeling the loss of Wandering Path, especially. I really enjoyed using Wandering Path, and pretty sure everyone is in the same frenzy of Wandering Path was our way of progression. What are we going to do without it? That's going to be a common point of conversation going forward for the next couple of days while people like really figure it out, and even going into the league as people try to optimize around the lack of Wandering Path, really just smoothing out the rate of progression. Other things that you'll notice you see this is that are removed. Do not worry about 7th Gate being removed. They have all crafts on the map device now as a result of 7th Gate being removed, so we no longer have this problem and don't actually need 7th Gate in the game any longer. Stream of Consciousness got removed, but it has a replacement that we'll talk about a little bit later. And then All Hands, Growing Hordes. Unfortunately, they don't actually have direct replacements. Oh, same for Grand Design and Wandering Path. Really, none of these have direct replacements, and so it's now on us to figure out how to cope in their loss in some way, shape, or form. Which I'll be honest, I never really used Grand Design, so I don't have a real take there. There might not actually be a replacement for Grand Design proper, to be honest, given what it actually did. But who knows? Now, what I do know is that there was a lot added and a lot changed that's worth talking about. We can see it in the patch notes, but I think it's actually cooler to see it on the tree. Necropolis is on the tree. Like you see, I click Necropolis and it shows 1, 2, 3, 4 clusters of nodes for Necropolis, including 2 keystones. And that's actually really cool. I wish they were a little closer to each other personally. I don't really like how far spread out the placement for it is, and I can't really tell you if I think that any of these nodes are going to be insane or anything, because we only have like a really baseline idea of what's going on, and we don't even know if like spawn rates make sense or anything like that yet. But I will say my immediate start is this bottom right corner, and it has everything to do with Unresolved Anguish just sounding very strong for what they talked about in the trailer, and being able to have Unresolved Anguish mods to leave additional corpses as well as additional crafts. I'm hoping that this will show me something really cool in the process of getting things in the morgue, right? That's what I'm thinking, but I don't really know. I have no idea which of these focusing ones at the top right is going to be better. This spirit one, I've been hearing whispers of people looking at this for ghost busting this league. No idea how effective that's going to be. And then down at this bottom left section, this is haunted modifier stuff that I think might be good, but I, again, don't really know. We haven't gotten to test it yet, but just the fact that they're breaking the mold this time around by giving us Atlas tree modifications for the new league mechanic is sweet. Please keep doing this, GDG. Please do not let this be a one-time thing. I will expect this from you in 325. I don't even care if these are a miss. I just like that you tried, right? All right, some new features that got added to the tree, right? Other than that, we have new keystones, which I'm going to talk first about just Unwavering Vision, because I think this is the one that has the most direct information for like trying things out purposes, which is 20 skill points. You could actually path to this, as you can see, in 19 points. And now 19 points is really inefficient because it's like straight around the side. But even let's say you go, one second, there we go. If you go up dead center, grab some Keurig node stuff for scouting reports and all that, or maybe you go Keurig missions on the other side, right? Whichever way you choose to go, then you're just up the center, straight to Unwavering. 26 points in, you get plus 20 points. I foresee that people will be rushing this to some capacity. That's my guess, right? Like, it's what I've kind of heard people talking about. No idea how good it's going to actually turn out. It is worth noting, though, this is our supplement for Stream of Consciousness. Instead of here where Meticulous Appraiser is now, it's all the way up here where Growing Hordes used to be, and it has a new punishment, which is cannot drop scarabs. And I think this is the major thing that's going to be different between this and stream of consciousness, is that stream of consciousness actually in a lot of ways benefited certain low investment strategies, whereas I think that especially with all the new scarabs that were added this league, there's a good chance that you could be screwing yourself out of money or just content that you want to play when trying to run Unwavering Vision for too long. And it's going to change our understanding of use this long term versus nope, we're just using this to get things set up real quick and then we're going to pull out of it. Very quick notes, right? There are a lot of map clusters now. If you just like search map nodes, right? Or actually, here we go. Here's a map cluster in the middle. You see here, map cluster in the middle. They added a modifier effect cluster. There's another modifier effect cluster. There's this thing about difficult and rewarding packs. Who knows what this means? And then there's our usual map nodes. But just generally, there's more map nodes, and there's also more scarab nodes as well. Or rather, there are scarab nodes now. You see how much the word scarab lights up as well as our small pass. We'll talk a little bit more about that at a later piece. Now, scarab nodes, you'll see though, instead, we also have a bunch of clusters, which dropping scarabs, refining which scarabs you see, more scarabs. Now, it's worth noting, there's also the blockers, which block scarabs as a new feature on them as well. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for literally just becoming a professional scarab farmer. That could be something cool. Who knows, right? Just things for you to see and get an idea of what in the world is about to happen. Now, let's talk about some of the changes, right? I kind of already hit on one of the major changes on the Atlas tree this league. The small passives right here that used to be map drop duplication, it's now scarabs increase. And that's actually big for a couple of reasons. One, it definitely is going to contribute to our early map sustain problems, especially just not even problems really, but so much as the shock that we're going to feel compared to what Wandering Path felt like, considering we had Wandering Path guaranteeing adjacent drop and giving us a pretty decent dupe chance pretty quickly. You know, the sustain would get really easy really quickly, and we're not going to have Wandering Path, and we're not going to have those dupes at all. So not only are we not going to have guaranteed connected map drops, but now we don't even get the duplication on the drops that we already have. So you're going to feel it there, but it is going to feel better potentially in the long term as you just like run up scarab chances. Like I said, become a scarab farmer. Really just leaning into this identity. And you're going to see this as I talk a little bit more about making this about running content, right? Like making this about choosing content that you want to see and being able to consistently do that all the time. And that gets into my favorite part of this patch, or actually, yeah, the entire patch, quite frankly. There's a lot of really cool stuff that I saw in the announcement stream, but the number one thing that really stood out to me in the stream and especially in the data is what happened to the tree when we talk about forcing mechanics. As far as I've been able to find, and somebody should check this out, check on this if I'm wrong. Outside of, I believe, specifically lab and vol side areas, everything else can be forced to have a 100% spawn rate. When we talk about, like, I guess what's considered to be extra content, right? There's this list here that mentions extra content, as well as our masters, you can force them to have a 100% spawn rate. Check it out. These are Jun chance nodes. These are Jun chance nodes. And I believe all of these small passes are Jun chance. And when you count them up over here on the sidebar, you get 64, 84, 104% chance to contain Jun, literally guaranteeing a Jun in your map. You could do this with all four of the masters. You could even do this with like Beyond, for example. Let's just say you like XP in your zones. You just, boom, you rush over. You want Beyond chance on this side, Beyond chance all throughout here. I think this is also Beyond chance. Yeah. Now your Beyond chance is already 92%. I think it's this last 8% right there. Boom. You now have a 100% chance for your maps to attract Beyond demons. That is awesome. And like I said, you can do that on pretty much everything on this tree, which means that now the tree is taking over the role of the sextants and scarabs that used to do this. They can still get it through the scarabs. No longer do we have sextants. God bless the sextants are gone, right? But scarabs you can do it with, or if you have the points on the tree, you can just force them on here, and this way you're able to guarantee it without having to invest, which just feels much better. Like I'm going to feel a lot better about some of the shinies I get to run, knowing that I don't have to do the thing where I accidentally forget to click on the eco mission on my map again, or forget to buy some sextants that I need again to force on a mechanic. Like I won't have to make that mistake anymore, and that is awesome. Other things that are very noteworthy that got changed in here that are really cool. Huge fan of the destructive play change, and I need to shout out the new Keystone Thorough Exploration to go with it. Destructive play, if you guys are not aware, was updated to include the line talking about the number of bosses leaning towards 3, the more monsters you've already killed in this map. So, if you just rush up, let's say Mesa, for example, you run straight to the Oak boss there and kill him first, there's a good chance you might only get one monster there spawned additionally. But if you actually run the entirety of the Mesa, get it to sub 50 monsters, and then walk in, you might actually see all three, right? And that will be awesome. That's a great way to have determinism instead of randomization, and I guess them trying to enforce and encourage you to like run the maps in full. Additionally to this, they added in thorough exploration, which is going to be a really fun combo because it means that all of the map bosses, right, including the ones spawned from deep play, are going to be empowered by wisps if you've cleared your map. And I think this is going to be a really cool combo. This could get turbo rippy, but like, look, I'm making characters with this league with the design of doing T17s and Ubers anyways, because that's the new stuff. And so I should be able to handle this as well in those characters. But I think this is a really cool way to amp up invitation farming and 10-way farming to be somewhat more competitive with the space that we get for, altar farming. It's also worth noting if we're talking about bossing and you like invitation farming and destructive play. There is also this note here that gives a huge drop chance for additional scarabs to final map boss. This will apply to all of the deep play monsters as well that was added this week. So stuff really cool in this field. And I have one more strat change thing that came up in the tree that I think is worth talking about. A lot of the other stuff I think is just cool if you explore it, maybe talk about in like specific videos. But the one major other system change that happened that is very worth noting is that essences caused a massive change. Specifically, if you are a white map essence farmer, this change will affect you and you should know about it. Like you are entitled to some compensation for what they've done to your strategy, quite frankly. Or not. Honestly, I don't like white map essence farmers. Suck it. Essence finalists and white maps now spawn up to a maximum tier as screaming. This has already been true. But yellow maps and red maps can now spawn shrieking by default. That's a huge change. And what does it mean is because there was also essence node changes. And the big one to talk about is amplified energies. Amplified energies is no longer +1 tier. So it was no longer turning screamings into shriekings. It's now going to guarantee that you have a minimum of 1 at the max tier in every essence. And that means that if you're in white maps, you're just going to make sure you see screamings all the time. But yellow and red, you'll actually see shriekings now. And that's what this is for. It's a way to maintain the previous power of amplified energies without giving power to white mappers. And that was just like, I think that's great design. Huge fan of this change, but I know that people just need to know about it in case you are like a white map Essence Plus Beast enjoyer. Your essences and white maps just got hit with a pretty big nerf because that means you would need to get 3 times as many of those screamings in order to equal the shriekings that you were getting before. And that's a really big deal. There's also another change that I think is just worth noting in this same area that's just going to make things harder is Crystal Resonance got changed. I'm unsure if I think this is better or worse than the original Crystal Resonance. I'm going to have to test it and get the feel for it, but the idea of it sounds really cool, but it does make your map notably harder. So I have a feeling that the goal of this was to try to punish essence abuse a little bit in the early stages of the game. Which I think this will definitely achieve, but I can't imagine this being too long of a long-term problem. That's all there, right? Those are the few things that I want to talk about in terms of like overall changes. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff that did change and get moved around, and some nodes got buffed, and you're going to see all sorts of chance stuff that you're like, oh my God. And you might see like here, they've added like random little small passes in a couple places to fill in for percent chance, and nodes like price of progress existed, but I didn't want to cover every little thing that changed. I just wanted to give you, like I said, like this is an overview and make it simple of what actually changed on the Atlas tree this league. You can go look into the details yourself, or you can ask some questions and suggest some ideas in the comments. And maybe if I think your idea is dope, I'll talk about it. Maybe if I get enough ideas, I'll just like talk about all the ideas, right? Who knows? I know for me, this did spawn off a lot of ideas. Like if you're curious, I did already cook up some trees for 324. I'll be talking about 1 or 2 of those maybe later on once I figure out exactly what I'm doing. I'm just trying to figure out how my trees are going to look, because the final thing to talk about, and you might be like, why did you wait till the end to talk about this? Because it's a cool ending note. Bite me. Is that we get 3 trees this league, right? Like we literally get 3 trees to save in game, which means you get a lot more value out of cooking up trees just to see things that you could try out. And I think that's going to be awesome. And I'm looking forward to all of it. If you guys appreciated this crash course and quick rundown of what actually changed on the Atlas tree, a like always helps. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, if anything was unclear, etc. All that good stuff. If you want to see more of what we're doing here, subscribe. You can subscribe and see what's going on. And otherwise, hey, look, I'll catch you guys in the next one.